Well, hey everyone. I am back with a different game this time. Something that I've been wanting to review for quite some time, and I felt before I did any mod videos, before I did any track reviews, anything like that, I wanted to just review the game as a whole, just to tell you my thoughts on it and everything that I think about MX bikes. So, firstly and foremost, they have 365 MX gear. Everything you see in this video, I will link in the description below. So that way, if you want the gear that I am wearing, if you want the boots, the helmets, all that stuff, I will link it down in the description below. The bike, of course, is a OEM pack bike. So if you know anything about MX bikes, then you know that they made an OEM pack, and that is available for download. It's a pretty big file, but other than that, all the extras. This is Abandon MX is the track that I'm going to be reviewing MX bikes on today. Probably my favorite track so far out of all the releases, and it may not be a huge release. I feel like that it was a little bit underrated on MXB mods, but nonetheless, I wanted to review this today and give my honest opinions about it. Okay, now that we're out here riding, you know, this game is still in beta, yet I don't know how, because honestly, the way it is now, it could be released as a full game today, and I don't think I would be mad. And the reason that I say that is because of how good it feels, and how good that the mechanics feel, and the physics on the game as well. So specifically, the reason that I like this game is how sort of, I guess you would call it, realistic it is, and not to mention the fact, the whips though, the juicy, big, fat whips that you can throw, and you can get better than I am, obviously, at throwing these whips, but the fact that you're able to come up to a jump, stay sitting down, and have some leg swag off the side of it is amazing to me. They did awesome with this game. They've done great with updating it and continuing to support it. The community just keeps growing and growing, meaning we are seeing more and more tracks arise, more and more mods, and you get your Ronnie Mac jumps in as well while you're at it. But we see more and more things coming out for this game. The community is so huge on it, and I don't know. As a guy coming from MX Sim, I have to say that this game is doing very well in my books. I will still love MX Sim. I'm an MX Sim fan to the core, and I'll never be able to go away fully from MX Sim. But, however, there has been a new game that has been needing to come out, that has been needing to update graphics, has been needing to do all of that, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is the game. I think that this is probably the one that everybody's going to eventually migrate to, inevitably. That always happens. I mean, games come and go. MX Sim has been a great motocross community game, still is. I'm not saying that MX Sim is dead. This is not me saying by any means that MX Sim is dead, because it's not. There's still a huge community. People are still making tracks, and I love that. I love that we have a selection of games that we have. But when it comes to updating, you know, graphics, when it comes to updating things like that, and the feel of games, this is the one for sure. Specifically because it is a newer game, but also the development is ongoing. I mean, I'm not sure how long this game has been out, but this isn't anything new. MX Bikes has been something for a while now, and I think it's awesome because I remember starting this way back in the beginning betas and it not being anything like it is today. And just to say that is awesome, that this wasn't a game that choked. Because I remember back in the starting days, I will say that it was pretty rough. I always said that this would never compete with MX Sim, but I ate my words. And you know what? I am absolutely okay with that. Specifically, the reasoning is just we need more than just MX Sim. We need another motocross game that comes out, feels realistic, and can do what MX Sim did as far as being not just another arcade game. Something that feels more realistic, and something that you can come onto and just absolutely throw down, that requires skill, that isn't an MX versus ATV that you can just pick up and in 10 minutes you have down. This takes work. This takes time. That being said, this is a simulator. So if you think you can just pick this up and go for it, you would be wrong. You definitely need to take the time. You definitely need to have the patience to be able to play a motocross game like this. It's just like Sim as far as a skill level, a skill gap. As you can see, I'm not the greatest at this game. I also don't suck at it, but I'm also not the greatest, meaning that there are a ton of people better than me that are out there competing, racing in these events. And that's going to spawn such a great, diverse crowd when it comes to a video game, because you have the people that are just on here for casual play, but you also have the people that are on here for a little bit more of a serious competition play, and you get the best of both worlds with a game like this. And I really, really love that. That just builds the community and gets people out into the real motocross world as well. So it does nothing but help the motocross world. So that being said, I guess it's time to do a little bit of nitpicking with the game. But there's really not much. And the reason that I say that, I only nitpick because it's just things that they haven't quite updated yet. And that's okay, because it's an ongoing update. But the game, from the beginning, honestly, has felt just a little clunky. And the clunkiness is just one of those things that with time has gotten better, but still needs some improvement. And what I mean by that is if it happens, if I wreck here, which I promise you I will, but the next time I wreck, if you see that it'll look clunky somewhat, depending on how I wreck. So there's been times whenever I've wrecked and caught it, just completely backflip and the guy doesn't come off the bike. I think that there needs to be some sort of mechanic in there that I guess your rider bails the bike a little quicker. Because in my opinion, I think that the rider stays on a little too long when it comes to wrecking. So he'll be on there for a straight, solid 10 seconds whenever he should have wrecked, 6 seconds ago. So it's just those little things that I know with time are going to get better. But again, if it's going to be a review, I have to give you an honest, legit review. And I guess that's one of the complaints that I have. Okay, so another kind of small little complaint that I have about some of the things that I think need some changing in the game is the way the suspension works, specifically with landing. The suspension is very hard sometimes. I can overjump something just a little bit, and it will bounce back on me a little bit. Well, there's a little bit of a fix for that, and that's just to turn your dampening pretty much all the way down on the bike. However, you shouldn't have to do that. I mean, just like right there, I landed just fine and everything, but I will purposely overjump something real quick and see if I can show you, for example, kind of what it is. So I'll overjump this jump and see if it does it. Nothing there. It's not that big of a jump, so I need to do it on a little bit bigger of a jump. However, just a little bit of the rebound, I guess it would be, of it bouncing back up on you after some bigger jumps just sometimes feels unrealistic. And just needs a little bit of work, needs a little bit of tweaking. It's gotten better. It used to be a lot worse, so obviously they are actively working on getting the thing fixed, which is a great, great thing. But trying to show you, for example, what I mean by that. And I don't want to just crazy overjump something, because obviously, okay, so kind of like right there. Could he have caught that? Probably. If he was a pro rider, let's say from a pro rider standpoint, he would have been just fine. That overjumped a little bit on that jump, a little bit landed on flat ground, but I don't think it was bounds for wrecking. I really don't. And maybe that right there as well. So casing jumps is part of that rebound thing, and I've noticed sometimes, not every time, but sometimes, that after wrecking on a certain, few jumps, that you notice that's just one of those things that happens, that it bounces a little too hard, a little unrealistic bounce, and it just is what it is. So I don't know. It's things that they could work on, and I know that they will, and it'll only get better over time. But so just again another little nitpicky thing. So that's probably about the couple things that I have an issue with at the moment. But hey, that's two things. There's literally two things that I've nitpicked on the game. Honestly, there's probably more, but it's so small that it doesn't bother me enough to mention it. So, yeah, so why don't we kind of get to some more of the good stuff? How about that? All right, I know everybody wants to know it, and I know everybody asks about these games. Firstly, the whips. I think that this is one of the most greatest defying things about this game are the whips. Of course, you want a good motocross game, not only for the simulation part of it, but you gotta know what the whips are like and how much steez you can throw down. So I will show you, for example, like that right there. That, I mean, straight up, that's some steez right there. But there's a way you can switch your whips around in the air that really impresses me. For example, you can sit down, kind of seat bounce it, sort of do a little bit of a turn down sort of feel on the game, or you can sit down midair, make yourself go a little higher, or not higher, but a little bit more sideways, and do a little bit more of a fancy looking whip. So I will try it on this one. So I'll stand up, sit down, he brings it a little bit more. Yeah, it's so nice. I love the leg swag on the game. I love that they added that in. I like that it feels like you're just throwing down whenever you do something like that. So let me do kind of a normal whip for you just to show you, for example, on this jump. A little bit of a more normal jump there. So, or a more normal whip, I should say. So that's pretty neat. And then of course, there's another normal whip there for you. But of course, you have this sit-down whip, and I think it's super sick how much swag he has. So let me get around to this jump here, but we'll try it on this one as well. Yeah, you could just throw down, and it feels so good. But I'll show you, for example, on this one. I'm going to remain sitting down. It's just so nice. Like, honestly, it feels very good. It feels very fluid. It's so nice. So I would say whip rating on this game, honestly, you know, if we're giving it an out of 5, like a rating of 5, I would say that is, man, 4.5 really out of 5. You know, the reason I don't give it a perfect 5 is, well, I don't know, maybe I should give it a perfect 5. It's such a hard thing to do, but also, can I call it a perfect whip in a motocross game? I mean, you can compare it to Sim, you can compare it to Reflex and all the rest of the motocross games, but to me, this feels like the most consistent game with whips, for sure. Like, absolutely for sure. So, yeah, whips are sick on this game. Okay, so generally just going fast on this game. Yeah, this is a lot of fun to try to throw down some hot laps in MX Sim. It really is. So I'm going to put my head down for a second and just kind of throw down a couple laps to show you, for example, what I mean, because honestly, it's so much fun to rip on this game. And hopefully I don't wreck here because, well, then I would just be kind of defeating the purpose of throwing down, right? Oh, yeah, we're good, though. Okay, see, I've already messed up here. So let's just try to rip a little bit. So I'm going to less focus on doing whips here. I mean, they're still going to inevitably happen. But we're going to focus on throwing down and showing you how fast you can go on this game. Cornering speed, great, just awesome. That's another thing I love about this game, is how well the cornering feels in it. Used to hate it, but with more recent updates, it has gotten better and better and better, man. I tell you what, it is, it feels good. It feels very good. So, oh, that's not going to end well. Well, yeah, that's just bad. I wish I could show you a better rip. I know people are a lot better than me at this game when it comes to ripping, so we're just going to completely reset here. There we go. Okay, let's try this again. So yeah, the cornering in this game feels great. Whips are good and everything, and so yeah, I mean, obviously you want to know how the ripping feels, how fast you can go, and that's obviously what I'm gonna try to do. I'll probably fail miserably, like I have been doing. Gosh dang it, I hate it. I hate it. While we're on this subject too, I might as well talk about the kind of the deformation. I don't know. We'll talk about the deformation of the track too. As you can see, there are track lines on here, and I have the option to keep those track lines even when I leave this track and go to another one in the game and come back. So these tracks have been from just me, obviously not with just this one session, but with others I've had too. So one thing I think they could make better is probably the rut formations. I mean, obviously you see that there is some track deformation, but unless I am unaware of something, which I have not seen before, I don't know if much deformation happens on these tracks. But you're able to reset the track to a completely fresh track. I know that some of these ruts and cornerings and marks that you see on the track here do affect you a little bit, especially with braking bumps. I know that's the thing because I've been on tracks before where a lot of people have been on, and there are a ton of just braking bumps everywhere when you're going into corners. So I guess it really more depends on how many people you have. So yeah, the track deformation is pretty good. A plus. I would give it probably a 3 out of 5 for sure. And the reason I give it a 3 out of 5 is because they can definitely work more on kind of the ruts forming in corners. Other than that, though, I mean, it's really pretty solid. The track breaks down pretty well, and you do get some lines going in it, but it definitely could use for more of a kind of a reshape in the rut area. So for sure. All right, so kind of the last thing I wanted to go over here as I'm wrapping up this video. I hope everybody's liked this review so far, but something that I really like about this game a whole bunch, the kind of the aspect of first-person view. This right here, to me, is probably the best game with first-person view of any other motocross game on the market currently, period. And the reason that I say that is because it feels so very realistic, so very fluid, and I really, really like it. Now, I'm not the best at first person, so I'm still working on that. I'm more of a third person kind of player when it comes to motocross games, but it doesn't mean that I hate it. In fact, I love first person view a lot. It feels very good and very real, honestly. But like that right there, I'm just not the best. However, I am better at catching wrecks on myself in first-person view because, again, it feels very real, and I'm able to kind of correct myself whenever I feel something happening better than I am in third-person view. This feels less clunky for some reason, and it's the same exact game, so I can't explain to you why, but this feels less clunky than it does in third-person view, which is crazy to think. Again, it's the same exact game, so I don't know how from one view to the next it can feel less clunky than the other. However, I know I am not near as fast in first-person view. A lot of people are opposite than I am, and I just generally need to learn it, but I am definitely a lot less fast in first-person view than I am in third-person. That is absolutely for sure. So, but as you can see, the depth of everything and the way that he turns his head and everything, there is even a setting that has a prepare for cornering, like he anticipates the cornering, and it's so sick that his head will start going the way you start leaning and everything, and dude, that is so awesome to me. I really like how that's integrated for sure. And we're gonna try to see if we can get a little bit better laps going here. Oh, wow. Almost wheelied out of that. That would have been bad. See if I can throw a whip on this game. Or on the first-person view. Hey, I just did it. What about it, dude? Oh! That feels pretty sick, man. I really, really like this game. This has been an absolute solid game for me so far. Honestly, I don't know. It is really, really an awesome game. I enjoy it very much, to say the least. Oh, jeez. All right, so we are going to head back to the main menu, and I'm going to show you a couple things before we wrap up this review. Okay, so another thing I really like about this game, obviously if you have any familiarity with the main menu, this is a different main menu than you usually have when you first come into the game. So that being said, there's all sorts of mods that people have made, including main menu mods and all that stuff. But specifically, I wanted to talk about the bikes today and how cool that this customization and these bikes really look. So obviously when you have this drop down menu, the regular ones you're going to have when you first get the game are MX1, MX2, and those, and Supermoto as well. But the MX1 and MX2s are just going to be some pretty generic bikes, as you can see. So they're not really like anything crazy. You know, they're going to model themselves after KTMs and Hondas and all that stuff. But then you have your OEM packages, and the OEM packages are just that. They're OEM. So you have Hondas, everything like that, that are in this game. I mean, there's Husqvarna's in here, Suzuki's in here, KTM, all the above. Just pretty much everything you can get. There's even TMs in this game, which I think is absolutely awesome. But I think it's really, really neat that they've have a community that has integrated this. I mean, dude, just the sheer look on these bikes, the way that they look is just so impressive to me. I absolutely love it. They even have an Alta Redshift in here. But you have MX1 and MX2, so that means you've got both of those, plus your 250s, 450s, and you have 2 strokes. Straight up, you have 2 strokes. And I have a 96 Honda on this thing. It is super sick, so awesome. I love every single thing about it. It's just awesome. I love it. To say the least. I think it's super sick, and obviously the kits on this game. You can do so many different kits. I mean, somebody has went and made straight up the 365 MX kits, and I love single thing about that, because if you know me, you know the 365 is my jam. Love every single thing about it, but you got the boots, the helmets, all that stuff. I think it is a great game when it comes to that. As far as the tracks, I mean, I'll show you the community tracks I've downloaded so far. Abandoned MX is one. Cahuilla Creek is one. You've got, I believe that, JGMX Inspiration is one. JS7 Compound is another one. Here's one. Here's one. Actually, sorry. There's one. MXB Club might be one, I think. Paletta Raceway, I needed to get the second version of that. But there are so many different dang things on this game. So, my final review of the game, out of 5, I'm going to give it straight up a 4.5 out of 5 stars for the game as a whole. And the reason that it's just missing that little 0.5 is just because of some of the little tweaks and things that it needs. But, man, if you give this game some time and you can, dedicate the time and patience to it, it is absolutely worth it. So definitely get this. If you're any sort of MX gamer, again, it's not an arcade, so just be aware of that. It is more of a simulation. So, and hey, join me on my Twitch streams. I've been streaming this recently, and I plan on continuing to stream. Join me on my streams. Clip, same as this YouTube, and I would love to see you there. I host Worlds while we're there, and or host track days, I guess, because if you go to race, you can see all sorts of different people's tracks on here. So I love to be able to do all that, and come join in, have some fun with us, man. We've been having a lot of fun on there lately. But so that's my I guess review on MX bikes. So I wanted to do this, and I'm glad I did. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.